Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. It is that time again for another Heat Press for Profit live podcast. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and listen in on these conversations. If you're watching with us live on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, make sure you shout out who you are, where you're watching from, and of course, your business name. Now, before we get started today, this topic of conversation is really going to be a great time to ask questions. Vince, as you can see, I'm already spoiling who our guest is, has a lot of experience in attending these trade shows, as do I, as myself. And we want to make sure that we get your question answered, why it's great for you to attend a show. We will be going over 7 reasons why you should attend a show, as well as year-end prep, and of course, really getting yourself ahead of the game for early 2024. Now, this podcast is designed to have conversations with apparel decorators just like you and industry experts that can have an impact on your business. I've already ruined it, but our guest today is Vince Fiore, and he is one of our videographers for Stahls and Transfer Express, and he is a video marketing specialist. And Vince, just tell us a little bit about what you do for Stahls.
Yeah, sure. First of all, happy Friday to everyone. I'm really excited to be here on my first Heat Press for Profit podcast. I I mainly my jam is behind the camera usually, working with Kelly, making sure she looks good with the YouTube videos and our lives and everything. Not that she needs that. She looks great on her own. But basically, I started actually just exclusively with Transfer Express. So I helped them along with Dave Connor, who I'm sure you've seen a ton of videos with him. He's like the main superstar of Transfer Express YouTube channel. Um, I've worked with him for a lot of the stuff, just making sure that all those videos are in tip-top shape, throwing in some ideas for content here and there. And recently, I'd say within like the last year, I started kind of venturing into the Stahls TV YouTube channel and kind of doing all the different videos for all the different companies that we have. So I kind of like pride myself on kind of being a one man band. So like I do the camera, I set up the lighting and do the editing, and so um, it's been like a really cool ride. I've been here for it's going to be 3 years soon. So that's kind of what I do. I help with the education content here, mainly anything like video. I usually get a little bit of my hands in. So
So the cool thing about having Vince on this conversation is that you get different perspectives. And I think perspectives is a great thing to have. While I'm on the education and kind of front facing with customers, Vince is on the back end of it, but has definitely dove into all things apparel decoration and really understanding this industry. And when we have ideas about what type of education to give to our viewers and our decorators, he's right there along with us, talking about topics and angles and why it's important to really make sure we get education done a certain way. So when it comes to trade shows, it's not just about going into booths and seeing pretty things or seeing what's there to offer. Sometimes it's also about really kind of capturing, the experience and the environment. And if you can't make it, then Vince or Joe, are there for our larger shows, trying to capture what goes on so we can bring that experience to you so you guys can get some of that education. We understand that it's not always easy to step away from work. It's not always easy to leave, your office or your production center or your home if you work from home, but it's super, super important to still be involved in our community. So, Vince, like you said, you've been with Stahls, I'm just going to call it Stahls as a whole, for almost 3 years. And tell us a little bit about your first experience, about going to a trade show, especially not really knowing the industry.
right. And you said, you got to it at the end. So when I got this job, um, I had no connection to the apparel decorating industry at all or anything to do with that. I simply had this job for just the video stuff. So in the first couple of months when I was working, I was just kind of focused on, whatever the script was, whatever it was. And, I'd learn, you had to learn a little bit about it to make videos about it, but I didn't like really engross myself in the industry that much for the first couple months until I was asked to go to a trade show, which was the first one I went to was GPX Indianapolis. And I went there because they wanted me to film. Uh, and then when I got there, it was kind of like an eye opener for one, seeing how big this business was, right? Because me personally, I've never like heard of, like I've never gotten into it, so I didn't realize how many people were involved, how many different companies were involved, all the different like things. Like I just kind of thought like, okay, maybe there's heat transfers and then there's some other stuff. But like I didn't realize there was all these different intricacies and methods to decorating apparel. So that was a big eye opener for me just going to that show, and then dabbling a little bit with listening to customer conversations from people like you that showed up, and hearing seeing what ticks with them, what questions they have, which set me up for a couple months later for my first show that I like did to do like sales and I guess like I would call it sales, like a sales rep
Yeah.
for Dax, Minnesota, which usually was kind of has a reputation of being a small show, and it was small, but I was blown away by how many people knew like about us. Like they coming to the show specifically to talk to us because they had questions and they wanted to see this stuff. And that opportunity I think has been so helpful for me on the video side of things because I get to hear what people care about, what people have questions, want to learn more, what like excites them. Like I remember we just came out with the tag along platen like that first year, and showing it to people, they like their eyes would just like light up, and they was like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, oh, we need to do more of that. Like we need to make sure people know because like they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't know about it. So we pushed hard on that. We did some TikToks on that, and so yeah, I think it's been great. And I think that we as people tend to like kind of get like narrow minded in our everyday stuff, right? So like, we kind of just focus on what's like we know and like what's we have to do. There's not really a lot of opportunities to just go and like just venture out and learn and just educate yourself. And I think a trade show is like one of those unique situations where that's literally what it's designed for. And so for someone like you that's watching, being able to go and like see something new, not just from us, but from any company or vendor, I think that just like will inspire you to have new ideas and think of new ways to make money in this industry or new things to try. So I'm a big proponent of them. Any chance I get to go to a trade show, I love to go. Yeah.
I love it. So, like Vince was saying, one thing that really kind of sticks out to me is that he was able to hear our customers or, people that were wanting to learn more or they were really passionate about a particular project or they needed help with, what to use when for a particular project. That is our time. Yes, we can, be there on the phones. We can be there through email, but in person, we get to learn so much more about our customers. And it's really kind of funny how we start to see trends at shows as well. So here are 7 reasons why you should attend trade shows for 2024. Now, if you've never attended a show, make a plan to do it for 2024. It's very, very easy to go and do. You could go for 48 hours and really capture a lot of information and knowledge within that 48 hours. It's going to be like a supermarket sweep running through the aisles. But for some of those larger shows, you can definitely get it done and even get it done in a day if you're just really trying to go for an experience. So the first and foremost is connection and community. This is an excellent time to build connections. And that's not just with people and other decorators, that is building connections with those that are showcasing products at these trade shows. So Stahls, Transfer Express, SNS Activewear, Sanmar, Lane 7, those businesses that go and pop up at shows, that's a great time for you to go speak to a person, build a connection, and it's really incredible how much we take from shows as educators and reps to really like move forward for the next show. So it's could be something about product that we didn't have showing there, or something about changing a display, or really understanding, hey, we got a lot of questions about X product, maybe we need to show more. So that connection you can build with us is huge. And it goes back with what Vince was saying from a videographer standpoint. He was really able to see firsthand what that connection can be like in person. Now, next is new product and having that kind of first reveal, that sneak peek at something that's coming. If you are one that likes to stay up with trends, likes to know what's new, likes to stay ahead of the game, that is a perfect time, because businesses like us are going to use that moment to really release something that is brand new. And then you kind of get this like special feeling of, oh my gosh, I got to see it first before anybody else. And you get that first opportunity of placing that order, getting on that list, getting a sample, and then taking it back home and really running with it in your business. Now, Vince, talk about like capturing content for a new product and why that's important for our customers to kind of get that first feel.
Yeah, so I think that it's important to capture it because it gives you kind of the perspective of, you know, like a launch, right? So like I know like in a lot of industries like tech, for example, like they'll do their big product launches. We just saw it recently with Apple. They just released their new
Uh,
Macs, and they did the big release, and then they show it off on camera. And I think that kind of gives people a connection to where outside of just watching like a basic video content that's actually at the show, you kind of get more of a sense that you're there for the reveal, and it sparks a little more curiosity, especially if you can like see people in the background like reacting to it and like seeing what they're seeing. I think like it helps with the connection. And then it also, there's some things that just can't be replicated. So for this year at Printing United, we just had Printing United in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and we did a really cool activation with Culture Studio and Lane 7, where we had this record shop, like a record shop booth where they were making like concert type T-shirts printed on demand on site with Stahls heat transfer technology. We used Ultra Color Max and Goof Proof, and then we had Lane 7 use their apparel, and then Culture Studio made the design. So I actually have the shirt right here, one of the shirts from that, and it was like just this really cool like kind of vintage vibe. And then on the back you have like
Look at that.
this.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Oops,
I,
hold on. Stay there. There
got
we
it.
go.
Yeah. So like it's like a concert T-shirt, right? But it's like says Stalls and Culture, and like it's just was so cool to see like what you can do with heat transfer technology, literally on site, to print it in 12 to 15 seconds or whatever. So like that was just so cool, and so I was like, oh, we need to capture that. We need to show that content. So I filmed a cool little video with Jenna, who like was the brand activation manager who brought the team together to make that happen, and it looked so cool. You guys got to go check out that video. So stuff like that like can't be replicated in studio.
Mhm.
We also did. Kelly was alongside me. She was doing the live. We filmed the Pro Place
Oh yeah.
IQ intro, or the reveal, right? And like that was really cool to like show people the the very first demo of the Pro Place live at Printing United. That's like kind of a moment that for us internally, we're never going to get that again, and it's really special. But I think for you guys, just being able to know, like, to see how it, you know, like I said before, like see how it starts, you kind of get like more of a connection, I think, than like like something after the fact, polished or whatever. So I definitely think that kind of content is really cool to capture at trade shows, and so that's why I think it's important to do that.
For the third reason is touch and feel. So like to Vince's point about the whole activation, we've got Lane 7 product in there. We've got, transfers that we're using to decorate those items, and you actually get to touch and feel what those products are like. It's so easy to stay content and, go to those standard vendors that you trust, which is excellent. But what if you discover something new? What if you discover something that, people in your area really aren't offering in terms of decoration, and it's affordable and it's unique, right? So all of those elements, you actually really get to touch and feel the products that you can use, those new products that release. Our video team does an incredible job at trying to capture the texture and the feel and the dimensional type of product. But then when you can touch and feel it before you order it, it's always a different, experience. And as Brandy Franken said, a game changer about being at trade shows, it is a game changer when you can touch and feel those products. We need to really coin the phrase game changer, because we use it so much. But if you don't know what something feels like and it's actually really, really lightweight and you were thinking it was going to be heavy, it just really changes the idea and the perspective of what you can do with that product. So fourth is education. And whether or not you are attending Stahls and Transfer Express education, there is so much education at a list of shows that we're going to go over here in just a little bit. Some of it is paid, some of it is free, some of it is in booth education. And the thing that I love is that even if you do not go to an education session, remember that going into someone's booth is education. You're learning about the products, you're learning how to use it. So getting that one-on-one experience with someone in that booth is something that is very hard to get via phone or even via video. Next is networking. There are a ton of events that go on, whether it is hosted by the manufacturer, distributor, or wholesaler. And then, of course, those that put on the events. And that's a great way to kind of lock arms with those that are in the industry. Think of it as community over competition, and lean on each other for that support and really kind of guidance of what's working, what's not working, and really what you can do next or slightly adjust just to really amplify your business. Next, and one of my favorites, is saving money. You can save so much money by purchasing packages, getting discounts on products at the shows. And a lot of times you can get those samples that you need to save going forward. So those samples aren't just for you to sample the product. Utilize those as, items that you can take and sample to your customers going forward, or at least show what you're capable of. And last but not least is this allows you to be involved in the industry and really get a hold of the experience at a show. So going back to Vince and, that the whole activation that we did with Lane 7 and Culture Studio, that's a whole experience within itself. So not only are we showing you how easy it is to print on the spot, print on demand, heat print on demand, we showed you not everything that you could do, but so much that you could do to create an experience and give our customers, the attendees, an experience. Brandy Franken, she said, I agree. Being able to work with the new products is worth the trip alone. It truly brings so much value to your business and customer base. So, those are just, a couple of reasons, guys, but it really depends on what you want your goal to be when you go to that show. And I strongly recommend making a list, even if you think it's silly, like, oh, I just want to go discover something new. What is it that you want to discover that is new? Is it a product? Is it an equipment? Is it things that you can decorate. Because if you don't make that list, then sometimes you'll just be floating through the aisles, and it's can be very overwhelming, especially if you have never attended a show. And Vince, how different was GPX and DAX?
Oh, it was really different. The vibes are so different between the different shows. Especially with the different type of people there too, not just like the actual booth. So GPX was kind of like, I feel like the GPX shows, and just to preface, I don't go to like all the shows, right? So like I have kind of limited like experience, but in my experience, the ones that um like people come to buy the most, like buy into to new stuff, is the Printing United shows and the impression shows. Those are the ones that people like tend to be a little more seasoned in the business. The DAC shows are, for my experience, they're a little bit more like people looking to discover, right? And like maybe like you just started out, or like you've been doing something one way for a while. And that one, I actually tend to have a little bit more success, a little bit more success selling, because I think that people, when they first come in to see heat printing and they never like experienced that technology before, it blows them away. Especially like when you do something like a good screen printed transfer that applies in like 4 seconds. They're just like, you don't even have time to process it, and then now you have a screen printed T-shirt in your hand. It's like that's so powerful. So the GPX shows are kind of like in the middle, I would say, like between like the Impressions Printing United and the DAC shows. Although I will say that the one I had a really funny experience, because we did one GPX show my first year in Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to be like my show, like my people. It was like the least attended GPX show in the history of GPX. There was like maybe, like I talked to like maybe like 20 people in like 2 days. Like, so it was really, Shauna was, who manages Hottronics sales now. She was like with me, and like we were like, wow, yeah, this is like really not. This is kind of sad. So that was the only GPX show, and really the only trade show that I really felt was like a big dud. Other than that, they usually been well attended. I got into here like right after COVID, kind of. It was still kind of going on, but it was like the restrictions were coming down. So like as the restrictions came down, more people kept coming, and so like the Print United show this year was like really well attended. And that's generally like how I think it should be, because you get to feed off of other people's, like even like other people, like when you go to like see a demo of something at like one of these shows, right? And then there's like a crowd, you're like, oh well, if everyone's interested, I better go see what the peanut gallery is all looking at. And then you feed off each other's questions. Someone will ask a question that like you really had, but you were like weren't comfortable asking or didn't think of it. um, so yeah, that's kind of like I would say like GPX is like kind of the middle, and then DAX is on the more discovery and impressions, and Praying United is like more people that know what they want or done their research.
So I do agree. And so here's a list of shows that we attend. So trade shows. Now there was a question by Joyce that said any trade shows in ATL next year. And as I was searching through the list I'm getting ready to show, um, Printing United just happened in Atlanta this year. So that was one of the shows that Vince was talking about that we were at a couple of weeks ago. It changes locations every year. So it goes West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast. And I was just searching through some, and I did not see one for Atlanta. However, I know there are some in Orlando, and that does not mean that I'm not missing one. But just after making my list, I feel like there is one, but again, I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to tell you the trade shows that you can attend, and then I would recommend going and checking and see if there's one in your area. So if you are somebody that is trying to decide what show you want to go to, utilize the people that you know in the industry, one, to ask questions on what you should go, why you should go to one, which one might be best for you. And, shocking enough, when we were at Printing United, which is one of the biggest shows in the industry, um, a lady was like, "This is my first show ever," and I think she had only been in business for a couple of years, and she went to the largest show, and I completely commend her for that because she jumped right in. Now it was in her area, so that was much easier to attend. But sometimes when you go to a massive show, and I mean massive on the ends of where we were in location of booths, you could not see to the end of the hallway, which then turned and was another hallway that you could not see to the end of. So it's massive. But let's start with more of the corporate promotional product side of the world, which is ASI, which is the Advertising Specialty Institute. There are 3 shows a year for that. So if you're like, you know what, I know that I kind of want to get into the promo type of world or more corporate, that's a great show to go and just kind of get your head wrapped around. There are blank apparel companies there. We also attend. So if it's one that is close to you and it makes sense in that time, go. You can always adjust and choose a different one to go on later. But sometimes just getting that one-on-one, that communication is excellent. Next, which is larger, is PPAI, and that is the Promotional Products Association International. That one is what I would call very similar to Printing United, but on the promotional products aspect. It's one time of year. It is in Vegas. It is in January, and you go and you go, and it's one that you plan multiple days for because it is huge. Impressions is one that we attend, and off the top of my head, I know where those locations are: California in January, Atlantic City in March, and then you've got Fort Worth, which I believe is actually going to be in October next year. Impressions is one of our biggest shows to attend because it really is all about apparel decorating, and we do a ton of education at Impressions. We do pro day, we have in booth education, and then we also have classes that are recorded in the hallway. I don't know what else to call that, Vince. It's paid, yeah, it's paid for education, but what we do in booth, and we make sure that those classes are recorded, is anywhere from lives, podcasts, how to use products, and then what would you call like the interviews? I don't want to call them podcasts, but what would you call that conversation?
I don't know. I kind of thought they were podcasts too, but
Maybe we do
yeah,
call them podcasts,
yeah,
but it's really having that conversation with somebody else in our industry that is either a partner, a customer, or really somebody that we've just got built a relationship with that brings excellent value and knowledge to our viewers. So like Vince will be on the other side of that camera recording it, making sure that we can get that content out to you guys. So Impressions is a great one to come to, and that's really we bring big guns to that. And I say big guns meaning like we want to make sure that the newest products are at those shows, especially since we really kind of kick it off in January.
yeah.
Up
And
next, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you haven't been to a pro day yet, that alone would be a reason to go to a show. I mean, that is like such good education. I filmed one in Fort Worth and one in Long Beach, and like we got testimony. Like people coming to me wanted to do testimonials because they loved it so much and they learned so much from the presenters that we have. I know Kelly did it in Long Beach. Um, so that alone would be a reason to go. And I just want to like briefly mention because it just kind of clicked in my head with the education stuff. Like we have seen a proven track record of people that business owners that invest the time to go into these shows and learning the new technologies, they are far more successful than people who don't. Uh, Most recently, we I was involved in a video project we do called the Heat Press Transformation Series. We shot a special. It was a 30-minute special with a business owner in Salt Lake City, Justin Leader, and he's went from starting a business with a vinyl cutter in 2016 and a little like heat press to multi-million dollars in sales and offering any pretty much any kind of decoration method, uh, big contract decorators, some retail stuff. And he said openly in the video that the reason he's been successful is because he takes the time to go to trade shows, to listen, to educate himself, and to learn the new technologies and adopt them quickly. Um, so that I absolutely, just based on what I've seen in my time, educating yourself in this business is by far the best thing that you can do if you want to actually grow and expand and keep the cash flowing and going up. So I definitely would recommend that if anyone is watching that hasn't been to a show or hasn't been to a show in a while, like we see that a lot. Like some people are like whenever they will come to like a booth and it'll be like, oh yeah, I was here, I saw this like 8 years ago, I know what you guys have to offer, you guys have vinyl. No, you don't know about our brand new direct to film transfers. You don't know about our new patches and emblems. Like you may think you know something, but like until you got to keep yourself refreshed because in any business it's always evolving. So that's just another reason why I think you should go to a show. Anyway, I didn't mean to derail your plan. Continue, please.
Good. I think that was perfect though, because
Yeah.
I mean, if you can talk to somebody or hear from somebody that has that experience where they are able to have the proof in the pudding, right? Of this is why I know I have been able to grow, or I know I've been able to transform my business, or, oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that company. People rebrand, people constantly bring on new product all the time in order to stay with our ever evolving industry. So even if you think that you know what so and so has to offer, you might you might actually be surprised by what all has changed, especially with the way technology and new products change yearly, bi-yearly. I mean, it's just really incredible. Continue going on through the list of shows. Next is Printing United, which I said it does happen once a year, and then it switches coast. So this year it was in Atlanta in October, and then next year it switches back to Vegas, and it will be happening is it September or is it over the summer?
Which one?
Printing United. Yeah, I know it traded places with Impressions Fort Worth. So whenever that was, the last 6 months for me have all been a blur. So just know that Printing United for 2024 changes coasts. And did you find it?
Yep, September 10th through 12th at Las
Okay.
Vegas Convention Center is Printing
Yeah.
United.
So perfect. Okay. Yep. Kelvin also confirmed. So did John. So it will be in September in Vegas next year. So for those of you that were thinking it was going to be in October in Vegas, just know it's changing months. Last but not, or there's two left, which is GPX which is Graphics Pro Expo, which this is the show that is going to have the most locations, which is 5. Okay, so throughout the year, there are 5 locations starting in March that you can go to a GPX show. And they really do try to cover the coast. That way, if you want to drive to one, pick up equipment, take it home, or if you just want a quick flight, or maybe you're going to use that time to get the heck out of your state and you want to go somewhere and enjoy a date, of not like a date, but like a date of freedom, then make sure, choose a location that you want to go to. That way you can not only get work and experience out of it, but you also get a little bit of R&R. We also do a ton of
That could
education.
be a fun first date too. You know, if you meet someone online, you're both in the industry. Hey, let's do our first date at GPX Charlotte. That could be a fun one.
We'll have matchmaking in the printing industry,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they can take dates. We just started something completely new, Vince. I like it. Networking and speed dating. That's what we'll do at shows going forward. Heat press and date. So the next one is DAX, which is the Decorated Apparel Expo, and there are 3 of those, and they are a little bit more centralized in the state. So you've got Kansas City, which happens in February, and then March and April goes to Minnesota, and then ending in Chicago. So those are smaller shows, but I will tell you, the customers that attend those shows are all levels. Smaller, meaning there's not as many vendors, but you can still go and see those core vendors and get that experience and build that relationship. For us, we have customers that are brand new and starting, and maybe they're doing printing at night, trying to get out of their daytime job, and then those that run super super hard and have a massive team. Everybody on levels attend that. It's just a smaller attendance, but again, there are both things to do in terms of networking and fun at both GPX and DAX. So give those a look and see if those are one that you can attend. Again, we do a lot of education at both of those as well. So in terms of shows, that's a list. You can go to the Stahls.com website and transferexpress.com website and find the events. We do not update those for the entire year. So if you go now, you're not going to see stuff that's available in October. You're going to see it really on a quarter and month-to-month upcoming basis as we update. There are other events that we do. I know we attend the Pinners Conference. The next one in November this month is in Arizona. So there's always things to attend. You just have to want to go and find them. If you're on the Stahls.com website, the left-hand corner, there is a More tab with 3 lines. If you click that, scroll down to the bottom, you'll find events and webinars, and events and trade shows. And events include our webinars, our virtual events, any type of education, or anything that you can basically sign up to attend. You can find everything that happens there. So as we wrap up our show today, there's a couple of things I want to go over for 2024. And it's always a great time to prep early. I know that's easier said than done, but prepping ahead of schedule is the best way to prepare you and prep you for success. So you guys go clean your equipment. Go clean your equipment. I say that jokingly, but go clean your equipment. Okay, there is spring cleaning. Let's make a winter cleaning for 2024. Dust off those heat presses, and I don't mean dust off because you haven't been using them, but like wipe them, remove the dust and the particles, fabric off of them. What were you gonna say, Ben?
Nothing. I was gonna say we did a video a couple months ago. Dave, Nick, and I, and Nick's the other videographer here, on heat press maintenance and how and cleaning's a part of it. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat here as soon as I find it real quick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Clean the equipment. That is one of the best things that you can do to preserve your equipment and make sure all of those little particles of those fibers of garments are not entering into those nuts and bolts and handles, and you're just nice and clean. The second is go through blank garments. If you have a pile of blank garments, organize them by size, and then see what you can do to kind of maybe create a special giveaway to get people customer referrals or following you on social pages. Get smart with what you have on hand in ways to gain new business and potential business. Maybe you can use those garments as thank yous, put your logo on them, put extra logos that you're already using for your customer on those garments, get them out. Otherwise, that's just a sitting duck in your stack of clothes that is just sitting there, not doing anything for your business. Um, Third is make a content plan. We've talked a lot about content in our podcast, and it's because it's really the virtual it's the virtual experience, and it really is the wave of the future that has been increasing year after year. And in terms of video and prepping for that, um, photos, reels, shooting, Vince, do you have any just like quick recommendation on how to not think about it, just do it?
For like making content for your business.
Yep.
Uh, um, I would, yeah. I mean, like with the social stuff, I would just say like try to. I would say be make content that's native to the platform. Like don't like try to do a one size fits all. Like if you want to like put your business on TikTok, like watch other TikToks, see kind of just see how they do it and make it that way, that like fast style, right? If you're doing like a Facebook post, um, you know, look up other Facebook posts, and actually like you could use Stahls as resources as a like kind of a template almost, like because we do posts kind of it's like see how we like it'll be like the product, and then it'll like explain it like a little bit. Don't like try to throw everything into one post, right? Like do a couple posts, I would say, like for each thing, because you got to keep in mind when people are looking at stuff like social content, they're moving fast, right? Like you may spend a lot of time on this. Is something that I had to learn as like someone that makes content. Like you might spend a lot of time on something, that doesn't mean someone's going to spend a lot of time looking at it or watching it, right? So like you got to make something that's engaging no matter at what point they're seeing it and for how long, right? So that's kind of like would be my advice, is like don't think too hard about it, and like don't try to do everything. Don't try to do a one size fits all post, or post like put everything into one post. Do a couple different ones.
I love that. So as you know, as you're attending whatever, if you are packing up an order, that's content, guys. So the best way you can show your business, or you don't have to show your secrets about how you're creating your product, but there's ways that you can still connect with customers and potential customers out there. Last but not least is what I really challenge everyone is find a way to connect with somebody in this industry. So whether that is joining a group for a particular transfer company that you like, or a screen printing company, whatever it is, try something new to where you kind of put your foot out there and can learn something without really trying to go and learn something. Plus, you never know what you might gain from it in terms of networking, knowledge, and just something that could make your life a little bit easier in your business. So, this is going to be my plug for the Heat Press for Profit group, which is on Facebook. So if you are not in that, you guys know after every show, we talk about joining the Heat Press for Profit group. And there's a Transfer Express group that you can also go and join. The Heat Press for Profit group really just gives you that great place to connect with other like-minded individuals. Some have been in this industry for decades, and some are just starting and skyrocketing. So it's great to really get a whole bunch of different perspectives. And I just love seeing people come together and answer questions and provide knowledge that isn't just from people that work for the companies, right? So a couple of things, as Lisa said, thank you for this insight. I had no idea there were so many resources, events available. John said, I want to get to Printing United show next year. We strongly recommend that. Joyce also said that she attended the Printing United Expo in ATL, and it was awesome. The attendance was great. I'm still going through all the pamphlets, catalogs, and samples. It was huge. It looks like we lost Vince for just a quick second. We'll see if he's able to pop back. And then Brandy loved the date idea. So we might be on to something, Brandy. We can plan. Now, Carly did add the links to events for both Stahls and I think Transfer Express in there as well, might be up at the top. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is if you guys are following us on our social channels, we have been showing a lot of how you can find us, whether it is with Stahls UK, our international team. We've got tons of events there as well, virtually, and I think they've been doing more in person. There's also FESPA that you can attend if you are watching internationally. And then, there we go. There's the Transfer Express. So you guys, thank you so much for your time today. I went a little bit longer than what I was planning when it comes to trade shows and events and, of course, prep for 2024. But hopefully this gave you some knowledge and understanding of what is really out there. I mean, we pride ourselves so much in education and really being that partner in learning about, what you can do in this industry. What's up, Vince? He's back.
My camera must have, I don't know what happened. Windows. That's why I gotta get a Mac. It disconnected. Oh well. We're getting a Mac soon.
So you guys just take it and run with it. Use Google as your friend or whatever search engine you use, but I guarantee you can go out there and find something that is easy to get to. A lot of shows are free to attend. Some of the education is free to attend. Some of the education is paid, but I guarantee you will walk away with learning something that is valuable for your business. So Vince, thank you so much for taking time today to be on our podcast. The first time you're behind the scenes, and today you're in front of it.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun. And because I am in front of the scenes this one, I figured I wanted to ask just a real quick for a comment. If you guys have content ideas or something that you want to see, trade show related or not, leave a comment, and then we'd like to look at that stuff, and we get inspired from you guys just as much as you guys get inspiration from us. So please leave a comment. Any feedback we
love it, Vince. All right, you guys, head over to Facebook, join that Heat Press for Profit group, and of course have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you guys next Friday.